Welcome to Realm Painters. So it's been a long time since we've done a Age of Sigmar tutorial video, so I just thought it was fitting to do another poster boy video. If you're new to Age of Sigmar, you'll find there are tons of different factions within Stormcast. However, I have found the best would be Radiant Suns. But if you do disagree with me, comment down below what your favorite faction is. And no, I am not engagement farming. I would never, Jasper. Anyways, this video is covering the Annihilators in the Stormcast. They will be in the Radiant Suns color palette. However, if you like, you can just use this as a guide if you want to do a different color palette other than green. But without further ado, let's get to painting. Prime the model with Lead Belcher Primer from Citadel. First up, wash the armor with Nuln Oil. You don't need to avoid areas like the belt and the future gold areas, since it'll be easy to cover up later on. Once the model is fully dried, I like to take a small dry brush and with Runefang Steel, lightly dry brush all the sections of the armor. I like to make sure to put more attention on the edges and corners of the model. Now let's paint the Radiant Suns green. With lightly watered down Cabalite green, paint the front of the shoulder pads and the left shoulder emblem. This usually takes 2 or 3 coats to get a smooth finish. Now with watered down Achillean green wash over all the green sections. Make sure it's completely dry before continuing on. Next up, we'll start highlighting. Let's use Vallejo Jade Green or any paint similar to that color to start highlighting the bottom edge of the shoulder pads. Then I like to make a circle shape highlight in between those bolts. Don't forget to add highlight in the left shoulder emblem as well. Now I like to mix Mood Green and Jade Green to get the lightest highlight. Paint just the edges in the middle of the circle highlights. I recommend to water down this highlight to make sure it's not too bright. If you paint it too thick, you can do a wash of Jade Green on the highlights to dull it down a little bit. Lastly, for the green, I like to blend the highlight by using a watered down Cabalite Green to blur the edges. Now onto the gold on the armor. I start off by using a Retributor Gold to paint all the gold details on the armor. That will consist of the lightning bolt details on the thigh, the belt buckle, the lion head on the knee, the shoulder plate details, and the rims of the bracers. As you can see though, I accidentally went ahead of myself and painted the bottom handle of the hammer as well. You can either paint that now or when you start painting the hammer. After that, wash all the gold pieces with Guilliman Flesh. After it's fully dried, I then lightly brush on Arc Armor Gold on all the gold pieces to catch the edges and details. I forgot to paint the little spikes on the top of his head, so you can just paint them with Retributor Gold. Now I'll paint the belt with a base coat of Rhinox hide. Then with Dunebowl Brown, highlight the top and bottom edges of the belt. Now with this parchment, go ahead and base coat it with Ushapti Bone. This will take a few layers since I like to water it down to avoid getting that chalky finish. Then with watered down Dark Oath Flesh, wash the parchment. Sometimes if it's too dark, you can paint around the text indents so there's better contrast. Then just do some edge highlighting with full-on Ushapti. As you can see, I forgot to paint the bracer emblem on his arm holding the hammer, so just use the same gold recipe for the emblem. Lastly, paint the little gems. I like to paint them with a base coat of Jade Green. Then with a mix of Jade Green and Moot Green, add little highlights on the edges of the gems. On to the shield. First up, I like to use Vallejo's Dark Gunmetal for the center. Any metallic paint that is darker than Leadbelcher would work as well, but I do like how the Dark Gunmetal has a dark blue tint to it. Then I like to do either 1 or 2 washes over it with Nuln Oil. After those layers fully dry, I like to lightly dry brush over the whole area with Runefang Steel to pick up all the edges. Now with the white, I like to water it down heavily so it can pull in all the cracks in the shield. You don't need to be too careful if it hits the outside of the emblem, since that will be painted white later on. Then with Frostheart, I like to wash over all of that white. No need to be too careful with this as well. I kind of like going over the lines a bit so the contrast can tint the dark metal near the white. This next part will need a little more brain power compared to the last step we did, but with white, let's paint the bolt around the outside of the middle emblem. Make sure not to paint into the previous blue next to it. If by chance you do, not too big of a deal, just fix it with another little dab of Frostheart. This took me about 2 layers of white to get full coverage. Next up will be the gold on the shield. With Retributor Armor, start painting the middle emblem. Then paint the rim of the shield. Painting the back of the shield can be optional, but I like to paint the rim on the back gold as well. Then wash all the gold with Guilliman Flesh. Once it's dry brush the gold with Auric Armor. Now with Jade Green, base coat the gem in the middle of the shield. Then with mood green, add a dot on the top edge of the gem. Now the front shield is done! Optionally, if you want to paint the rest of the back of the shield, all I do is paint the main section in that dark gunmetal paint from Vallejo, then paint the leather strap with Rhinox hide and give it an edge highlight of Dunbull brown. And the shield is done! Lastly, onto the hammer. If you didn't follow my accidental steps earlier, paint the bottom of the hammer with same gold recipe like the other gold areas. Now onto a new color. With corn red, paint the leather handle. After that, just use Rakelin to wash the corn. Next up with dark gunmetal, paint the textured metal onto the hammer, avoiding the flat ends on both sides, since those will be kept lead belcher. After 1 or 2 coats of the gunmetal, give all the silver parts of the hammer a wash of Nuln Oil. Once dried, dry brush the silver with Runefang steel. Now with white, let's fill in the cracks in the hammer as the base for the blue glow. And once that's dry, wash it over with Frostheart, painting slightly out of the lines so it appears to be glowing onto the steel. Now the very last part is the gem on the sides. Base coat those jade green, and then add a highlight to the top of each gem with moot green. And your Radiant Sun Stormcast is completed! And just like that, you know how to paint the Stormcast Annihilators. If you haven't noticed, these guys are very simple to paint, so busting these out in the evening is very easy to do. I think that's one of the reasons why I like them so much, because you can paint them for one evening and they just turn out really good. If you liked today's video and want to see more of it, or if you have any tutorials that you'd like to request from us, let us know down in the comments below, and while you're down there, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. But other than that, I'll catch you in another realm.